Employee of the Month, Carlita Mendez. Pff, what a joke. It's that obnoxious nurse.
Yeah. Okay. Time to go.
It's all right, Claude.
Understood, sir.
So, you managed to find me.
I did.
Well, let's get this over with then. How do you want your pictures? Shall I get some tubes to fill my face with? Will that suffice for your front page?
I'm no journalist. Well, not yet anyway.
Ah, she's but a cub. So, you're hoping for your big break. Surely this must be worth an internship at one of the big papers. Do you want me to call Thompson at the Times and get it over with? I still play golf with him every once in a while.
That's not what this is about. It's personal.
Sounds serious. Perhaps I should ask Claude to produce his gun.
You know, Charles, the person most likely to be harmed by a gun tends to be its owner.
Very true. That's something the Japs who captured me learned the hard way.
Did my grandfather bail you out then too, or was that one of the few times where he didn't save your sorry ass?
Hold on there. Explain yourself.
You're willing to listen to something other than your own voice? I'm stunned. I'm Kathy Rain. Joseph was my grandfather.
Now I remember. You were at the funeral.
I was.
You were late.
I needed my morning smoke. Besides, it's not like Grandpa was going anywhere.
Oh, just look at her, Claude. She's absolutely fearless. That's Joseph's blood running through her veins.
Hey, Eddie.
She certainly
How's
has
it
a
going?
smart mouth, sir.
I must say, you have me intrigued, Kathy. What can this old man help you with?
Do you know anything about what happened to my grandfather in '81?
I wish I did, Kathy. You must know I did everything in my power to help. How do you think Mary Elizabeth could afford all that expensive treatment? MRIs, neurologists, say what you will about Joseph. But he was never rich.
Strange. Grandma never mentioned that to me.
She's just too proud. At first she refused. She was convinced that I had an agenda, that there were strings attached.
And were there?
Don't be silly. Despite all that had happened, I still loved Joseph dearly. I wanted to help. People from places like this have a deeply rooted mistrust in the rich, passed on for generations. In her eyes, I had become one of them.
So that's all you know about the whole affair?
Are you implying that there's more to know? I left the diagnosis to the professionals. Mrs. Rain accepted the health care, but asked me to stay out of everything else. So I did.
I see. What can you tell me about your friendship with Grandpa?
Joseph was the best friend I ever had. We grew up together, married our high school sweethearts together, went to war together. I can't even begin to count the number of times he's saved my life. I repaid the favor once or twice, but he came up ahead, no doubt.
So, when did you two lose touch? I heard that something happened between you and him. What was it?
The truth is, Brian Rain happened. Sharon Evans happened.
My parents?
Yes, they ruined everything with their vile, destructive behavior. I couldn't have that around my daughter or my newborn grandson. Joseph was naive. He believed that anyone could be helped, that anyone could be reasoned with, given a chance. He was just too good, bless him. He should have been harder on Brian, more strict.
Yeah, villain Kathy is a fantastic character. She's so much fun to run around with.
It's hardly Grandpa's fault. He did everything he could to set my father straight.
Oh, I never claimed to doubt Joseph's commitment, but I'm not going to ignore his flaws either. Your grandfather often used his heart when he should have used his head.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
I believe it is, objectively. But I shouldn't speak ill of the dead. Eventually, my company grew much too large for this little town, and we moved on. Not long after that, your grandfather ended up in that wheelchair. That marked the end of our friendship, for obvious reasons.
You bought a number of paintings by Lily Myers. Why?
I'm known to dabble in art from time to time. Martha, my wife at the time, was enamored with the paintings. I believe she first saw them at the high school which the Myers girl attended. Anyway, after the poor girl killed herself, I bought the paintings speculatively. When a young artist with any talent to speak of commits suicide, it can be a wet dream of certain connoisseurs. Shortly after procuring the art, I had it valued by an expert who determined that the value was 3 times the amount I bought it for. Today, I'm sure I would have made my money back tenfold or more if it wasn't for the art theft.
What art theft?
There was a burglary at the mansion I used to own here in town. It was all over the local news at the time.
Well, shit.
Eloquently put.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Can you tell me about the art theft?
Well, somebody broke in, stole the paintings, and got out. Fairly clumsy job. Lots of broken windows. The strangest thing was that I had a Monet, a Rembrandt, and 2 paintings by Picasso, untouched. But every single painting by an unknown local artist, gone.
Weird.
That can't be a coincidence.
Agreed. Somebody wanted those paintings badly.
I assume there was an investigation.
Yes, Sheriff Truman came by with his deputy a few hours later, but they didn't have much luck. They found a few hairs, which turned out to be from Ruffles, the family dog.
Some stunning police work right there.
Yeah.
Indeed. There was a single witness, though, who said he could make out multiple burglars leaving the scene of the crime, but nothing more than that.
So, I take it the case was closed?
Yeah,
Yes.
unholy urinal.
I honestly didn't
Everybody's
care
an art
much
critic.
one way or the other, given the fact that my most expensive pieces were safe and sound.
I think I'll have a chat with the sheriff about the matter, if that's okay with you.
Certainly. I'll call ahead and instruct him to give you everything you need.
Man, sheriff's
That'd be
gonna
great.
pissed
Thanks,
about
Charles.
Anytime. But I'm curious, what's your interest in the paintings?
I've learned that my grandfather went to Sue and asked to see them, right before he had his injury.
Is that so? Strange.
Do you recognize the call sign Cocky?
Would be strange if I didn't, since I was the one who coined it. It belongs to a fellow named Jimmy Cochran. He was a coward, really. The nickname is somewhat of a bad joke.
Perfect. Thanks.
Let's keep asking
Tell
questions.
me about Jimmy Cochran. Is he still alive?
In a literal sense. He's been held in a mental institution for years.
Let me guess. Since 81?
Either 82 or 83. I'm fairly certain it was early 83.
Do you remember the name of the institution?
Something starting with an E. Emerson, Everton, or similar.
Ingstrom? Ingstrom Psychiatric Hospital?
Yes, that's the one. You know the place, Kathy.
Yeah, that's where Mom went.
I do. My mother is in there. Sharon Evans? I had her committed about a year ago.
I see. It must have taken a lot of courage to do that, Kathy. Mothers have a lot of power over us. More than most of us care to admit.
I guess so. Do you know why Jimmy ended up in there?
Some obsessive-compulsive syndrome. He became fixated with circles and started hurting himself, trying to scratch the circles out of his head.
Creepy. I wonder what
Yep.
set him off. I think I'll check the place out tomorrow. Too late to head back to the city now.
Let's ask him about the
What can you
church.
tell me about the Church of the Holy Trinity?
They seem like any other church to me. But then again, I'm not their usual clientele. Weddings, baptisms, and funerals are just about what I can muster. And I always leave early.
Do you recognize this, Charles?
Of course. Your grandfather, me, Jimmy Cochran, taken shortly before we went to the war.
You guys look like you just won the lottery or something.
Indeed. We were mere children, with no concept of what we were getting into.
Is there anything else I should show him?
What do you see in this picture, Charles?
Fireflies would be my best guess. They can grow terribly large around these parts.
Yeah, they would be the size of basketballs. Or at least like cantaloupe. I think that might be all I
Thanks,
needed.
Charles. That's all I need for now.
You're welcome, Kathy. Come back anytime.
He's not actually a bad old man. I can talk to Claude.
Just some boring...
Hi, Claude. What's up?
That guy is huge. I wonder how many cows he eats per day.
That's why I like Kathy. She has these comments for everything.
I'd rather not. He'd crush me like a twig.
I think we're probably done here. Yeah, looks like it. This has been a really fantastic game so far. I'm actually sad that I didn't start this much earlier.
Rose and Col...
Okay. Alright. Sorry, Goober. I didn't mean to, The voice acting has also been really, really good. The Dave Gilbert from Wadjet Eye did the voice directing on this one, and he did a really good job, and all the voice actors did a really good job of doing their lines. Maybe some of the best voice acting I've heard in a game. It's definitely up there, that's for sure. Okay. I don't know quite where to go next. I need to go to the sheriff's station. I also need to go back and talk to Grandma about the medical stuff. I might not get much, but it might be important.
Oh, hello, dear.
Well, I mean, Unholy Urinal, this is a point-and-click adventure. This is pretty classic, honestly. This is old school in that respect. It's actually really good pixel art considering
Mind
the
if we talk
resolution.
for a bit, Grandma?
Not at all, dear. What's on your mind?
And the art itself, like the portraits, is really good. It's just, the art itself. I mean, the graphics are pretty
Do you know
retro.
who Jimmy
This
Cochran is? He was a friend of Grandpa's.
I believe
really
he teaches at the flight
low
school
res.
these days.
I don't think so, at least not anymore. I was told he was placed in a mental facility.
Really? He always struck me as a kind man. Maybe a bit nervous and on edge, but not crazy.
There's more. I found out that Jimmy asked Grandpa for help not long before Grandpa ended up in that wheelchair. Jimmy sounded really desperate. I'm sure what happened to Grandpa that night had something to do with his cry for help.
You should go find the man then. Surely he must know something.
That's the plan. I just wondered if there's anything else you think I should know about him.
Not really. We haven't stayed in touch since Joseph was injured. I know that he had a wife, Agatha, and a son, James. Agatha passed away from cancer years ago, but as far as I know, James still lives in the city with his family.
Okay, thanks, Grandma.
Okay. Probably.
I don't see a reason.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Bye, Grandma. I'll be...
So long.
Let's look up Cochrane in the yellow pages because we're basically in the Neolithic era as far as technology is concerned.
No result. Nah, nothing.
I didn't think so. Okay, so we can't really do much on that front.